residential report writing and case studies. Chapter 8, disclosure of scope of work and something. Problem identification. In the appraisal process, as outlined in most appraisal textbooks, the first step consists of problem identification. It makes logical sense. Before you can come up with a solution to a valuation problem, you must first understand what the problem is. In USPAP, vernacular, I don't know what that means, you have to engage in problem identification before you can determine a scope of work that is appropriate for solving the problem. USPAP acknowledges the importance of problem identification in the scope of work rule. An appraiser must gather and analyze information about those assignment elements that are necessary to properly identify the appraisal or appraisal review problem to be solved. Comment. The assignment elements necessary for problem identification are addressed in the applicable standards rule, i.e. SR 1-2, Standards Rule 3-2, SR 5-2, SR 7-2, and SR 9-2. In an appraisal assignment, for example, identification of the problem to be solved requires the appraiser to identify the following assignment elements: client and any other intended users, intended use of the appraiser's opinions and conclusions, type and definition of value, effective date of the appraiser's opinions and conclusions, subject of the assignment and its relevant characteristics, and assignment conditions. The information needed for problem identification is usually obtained through communication with the client. We understand that before we can begin the assignment, we need to know who the client and intended users are, what the intended use is, what type of value is being sought, what the effective date will be, and what the subject of the assignment is. That's all common sense. But what exactly are assignment conditions? USPAP provides an answer. Assumptions, extraordinary assumptions, hypothetical conditions, laws and regulations, jurisdictional exemptions, and other conditions that affect the scope of work. We will cover assignment conditions and how they affect appraisal reporting later in this chapter. First, it's time for a short quiz. The Appraisal Foundation Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice, Washington, D.C. Appraisal Standards Board 2020-21 edition, scope of work rule 2 IBID, end of page. Number 1, what is the idea behind the scope of work rule? A, give appraisers the flexibility to treat each assignment differently. B, make sure every appraisal assignment is handled in exactly the same way. C, provide a maximum set of standards from which departure may be taken. Or D, preserve the balance of USPAP if compliance is precluded by law or regulation. I'm going to go D. Preserve the balance of USPAP if compliance is precluded by law or regulation. It just sounds the best. Number 2. Why is proper disclosure of scope of work required by USPAP? A, because each appraisal assignment is the same. B, because clients and intended users rely on the assignment results. C, because every appraisal report contains USPAP violations, or D, because USPAP requires perfection. I'm going to go B, because clients and intended users rely on the assignment results. Number 3, an appraiser needs to disclose the research and analysis that were performed, but does not have to disclose the research and analysis that were not performed. True or false? I know for sure that's false. Final answer. Finish. You got a 66.7% out of 100%. Good job, you passed. Let's find out what you did wrong. Number 1. What is the idea behind the scope of work rule? The answer, which you got right, is no, actually I got wrong. My bad, hold on. You said preserve the balance of USPAP if compliance is precluded by law or regulation, and that is incorrect. The correct answer was give appraisers the flexibility to treat each assignment differently. That was my second choice, but whatever. The idea behind the scope of work rule is to give appraisers the flexibility to treat every assignment differently. In any given assignment, an appraiser is required to complete only the work that is necessary to produce a credible assignment results for the intended use. He or she may do more work than the minimum, but not less. Chapter 8, Scope of Work and Related Disclosures. Number 2. Why is proper disclosure of scope of work required by USPAP? You answered this correctly. The answer is because clients and intended users rely on the assignment results. Why is proper disclosure of scope of work required by USPAP? Because clients and intended users rely on the assignment results. Number 3, an appraiser needs to disclose the research and analysis that were performed, but does not have to disclose the research and analysis that were not performed. True or false? You said false, and that is correct.